Well, hello, everybody. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are you all today on this fine Wednesday night? Let me know as you join if you can hear me okay. I'm using my microphone again today because I'm a little bit further away from my computer and I want to make sure that you can hear me well. So let me know when you're here. Give me a thumbs up. Say hello. I want to make sure that we're being interactive. We're going to be talking about mammograms tonight, and we're also going to be talking a little bit about thermography. But this essentially is a continuation of our story with my friend Penny. And if you all remember, we met Penny a few weeks ago, and she shared with us her fear of getting breast cancer, and we've talked about her risk of breast cancer. She has breast cancer in the family. Her mom has gone through breast cancer on 2 separate occasions. And so we've been following her journey, and we've got a lot more to talk about with her. But how many of you out there saw the infographic that I posted comparing mammograms to thermography? I created that as something to be very simple, easy to take a look at and compare, know the differences because it's your choice. It's up to you. I have had 1 mammogram so far. I'm going to be 46 years old, but now I get thermography. And so I want you to be able to make the best decision for you. So we're going to start out tonight by just comparing those with using that little infographic, that picture that I posted out there, comparing what does a mammogram really do? What does it look like? And then how is that very different from thermography? I mean, are they really close? Are they really far away? Does it really matter? And, I want you to be educated. I don't want to put the fear of God in you. I want you to know and understand so you can make the right decision for you. Hi, Bev. Thanks for joining. Thanks for saying hello. Don't forget to share the videos, too. I really, really appreciate that. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know that you're here. Otherwise, I don't know who's on if you don't give me a comment when I'm doing the video. So what is the first thing that we think about when we are talking about mammograms and comparing them to thermography? They are very, very different forms of technology. So a mammogram squishes you, like literally squishes you, in between 2 plates to get an X-ray. Okay, so that means you get radiation. There is radiation exposure. It is a small amount. When you go to a discoveryhealthlifestyle.com, tomorrow you're going to see the article that I've written up to talk about exactly what we're talking about tonight live. So if you don't catch it live or you'd like to go back and see what exactly did we talk about, what did she say, it's all going to be written out for you at discoverylifestyle.com. And in that article at the end, I've also done some comparisons of radiation. So radiation, you want to minimize. Radiation is a carcinogen. What does that mean? It causes cancer. We know it causes cancer. So if you have breast cancer already and now you get more radiation, it does put more risk on there to change the cells, to help it spread, to help it grow. Now, what in the article I do is compare to say, when you get a mammogram once compared to the radiation you get on a day-to-day basis, just what is natural in the environment, when you go to the dentist and you get a digital X-ray, those types of things, I've compared them. You actually get a ton more radiation flying in an airplane than you do from a mammogram or from getting X-rays at the dentist. But the important thing to know and recognize is that you do get radiation. And wherever you can minimize that radiation, you want to. We're talking about lifestyle. We're talking about changes to get you as healthy as possible. So just like wherever we can decrease chemicals, we want to. Wherever we can balance our hormones, we want to. Wherever we can shun away from getting more radiation than we're already exposed to, we want to. Okay, so in and of itself, is radiation from a mammogram a huge deal? No, but you're getting it many different times, many different ways. If you go back every single year, etc., it does add up. And we want to keep that as low as possible. That's the point. That's the educated decision instead of somebody trying to fear you and emotionally tie you to that to make you get it or not get it. I want to empower you, and you're going to make the decision. So very different from that is how the thermography works. And I posted a picture of both of those because how many of you have ever seen an actual mammogram? I bet you never. Because even if you get your report, even, you have complete access to your medical records always. They're yours. You can get them at any time you want, but they don't send you the picture of your breasts. They only give you the report. The report is good to have too. You want to know exactly what they've said so that you can read it and that you can know as well what did the report really say versus the just the phone call that says, oh yeah, everything was fine, until you read the nitty-gritty and go, oh, that doesn't actually equal exactly fine in my book. But we're not talking about that tonight. Okay, so a mammogram, look at the pictures of what I posted comparing a mammogram to a thermography. That really, really demonstrates for you how very different they are. They're different tools. They tell us completely different things. So in that picture, you can see an X-ray is black and white. Okay, so gray and black right here. So these are the colors that are in a mammogram. And we'll talk a little bit later about dense breasts because that's a big issue for our friend Penny. But in that picture there, you can actually see a little pea-sized white dot. That's something going on in there. That is not supposed to be there. That's, that picture of that mammogram is showing you something abnormal. Now, let's compare it to that thermography. What do you see there? Not black and white. Not black and white at all. We see yellow and green and red, and you can also see blue. So the more red it is, the hotter it is. The bluer it is, the colder it is. So what does it tell us about? It is using infrared technology, an infrared camera, to say how much heat, how much inflammation is going on in those breast tissues. Okay, the atmosphere is very controlled when you have a thermography. That the temperature has to be very cool. You're not allowed to hold your phone or have your phone by you. Do you know why? Because if they took a picture of you with you holding your phone, this would be very red with your phone right here. If you had been just talking on the phone with the phone up to your ear and they took an infrared picture, it would be all red from the radiation and the heat and the cellular, everything going to that phone and radiating through your body. So on that note, put your speakerphone on when you're on the phone. Don't put it up to your brain. You want to hold that as far away from you as you can, but it radiates heat. And so we don't want any heat in the picture that's not coming directly from you. So I thought it was really key for you to be able to understand the difference. And thank you everybody who shared that so far. It's been shared multiple times, which is awesome because it's accurate to the point information on there. So the infrared camera shows us heat or inflammation, and it also tells us about hormone activity or gives us a hormone reading of the breasts as well. So heat and vascularity, or how much blood flow, is what the thermography is looking for. Again, this is a compare and contrast right now. The mammogram is looking for structural defects. So when it sees a little pea-sized white thing in there, that's a tumor growing in there, and it needs to be investigated further to be biopsied or scanned differently. Whereas thermography is looking at the physiology. What's what's physically happening right now? What is the temperature like? What is the blood flow like? And how can we interpret that to say, ooh, we're not supposed to have a ton of heat and a ton of blood flow going through our breasts. Will there be some? Of course. If there isn't any, you're dead. So we're going to have some always, but take a look at that picture. One breast is pretty green and the other one is showing a lot of red. They're not equal, they're not balanced, and that is not normal. Now, does that diagnose cancer? No. Does that mammogram diagnose cancer? No. Neither one of them can diagnose it. They're used as tools to help identify it super early, okay? That's the key to understand. Now, the next section in that infographic is about dense tissue. And I really wanted to compare that because as we talk about Penny's story, we talked about that she has very dense breasts. So the tissue is very compact. And that's a problem when you get a mammogram done because very dense tissue looks white. And what did I just show you on that top picture of the infographic shows you a white dot that is abnormal on that mammogram. Now, if the whole breast is really white, how are you going to see any white dots? You're not. And that's a problem. It is very difficult to be able to see something abnormal on a woman who has very dense breasts. Now, so if you're falling into that category and you've had a mammogram every single year, they easily can be missing something. They easily can be giving you false negatives because they just can't see it well enough. And they'll admit that. I mean, this is not something that, you know, anybody's pulling over their eyes. It's in the report. This woman has very dense breasts, and so that makes it for some limitations on what we can see for her activity, or for us to be able to see any changes in there. They just can't see it very well. So you need to know that and understand that. Does dense tissue affect getting thermography? No, because thermography is looking at heat and circulation. It has nothing to do with how dense the tissue is. So that's something really key. And so I'm really proud of Penny that she had thermography done because that was new to her. And it told us a lot. Remember, go to discoveryhealthlifestyle.com. It's all written up there, a sample of pictures as well as a report to show you what that looks like. How do they report that out? All of Penny's results are right there, and she's sharing those with you. So the next one will be the mammogram results, and they're going to be out there as well. They told us a very different story. Thermography said, ooh, there's some things that are a little bit more active here than they should be. It was a little hotter than it should be. There was a little bit more blood flow. And it also suggested that the estrogen may be high. So what's the biggest thing that we fear with breast cancer? Well, it's an estrogen-based cancer, typically. So when we see high estrogen activity, we need to check it out a little bit further, right? So she went and had her mammogram done. Well, they called her up and told her her mammogram was negative. Okay, but when you read the report, you're going to see they also reported some microcalcifications. Those aren't 100% normal. Does it mean cancer? No, not necessarily. Usually not, but, and there's always a but. And thermography told us, there's some abnormals there. So what's the next step? The next step, and where we're going to be going next with Penny, and a lot of different articles and posts that you're going to see coming out, are all about hormones. Hormones being balanced, high estrogen, low estrogen, estrogen metabolism. If nobody's ever talked to you about that, that's key as far as cancer is concerned. That's key as far as how well does my body work? Do I detox? Do I methylate? Do I get rid of the bad crap okay? And if I don't, I thought I was healthy, but if I'm not detoxing and metabolizing, I got a lot of work to do because it really increases my risk of getting cancer. So we're going to talk all about those hormones as soon as we get some of her results. And then we're going to break it down because that's the next thing. First, it's knowing your risk, okay? Changing habits and lifestyle, changing your foods, getting thermography done. She had also had a mammogram done. Now we've tested her hormones, and we got to see what that tells us on top of what we already know, because we're working on decreasing her risk of actually developing cancer. Because what is the key? These tests, everything we're doing, if cancer does start growing despite all the things that she's doing, because that does happen sometimes, we want to catch it as very, very early as possible. Because if you catch it when it's really tiny, it's easy to take care of. If you catch it when it's really grown and you've got a cyst and it's infected and it's in your lymph nodes, it's tough to get rid of it. So you don't want to wait. You want to find it early. You want to be doing something to find it out, okay, to get that early detection. So that's the next thing about early detection. Does mammogram really get it early? And so what the statistics show us is that a mammogram can usually pick up a cancerous growth when it's 2.5 centimeters. That's almost dime size, almost the size of a dime before it can see it. Okay, in comparison, thermography, that can see it 5, 6, 10 years. It can start to see changes before you ever see that little nodule on a mammogram. Before you ever really see a nodule define itself, the tissues all around that start to change. That's the beautiful thing about thermography, and thermography has been around for ages, for centuries, because even, as old as Hippocrates, they used to put mud on the body, and then wherever the mud dried fastest, they knew it was hotter there. That's pretty smart. And we know inflammation gives off a lot of heat. We know infection gives off a lot of heat. We know abnormal changes give off a lot of heat. So it is a very sensitive way. In fact, most research shows you that thermography is, it's 90 to 98% accurate. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting if it's 90 or 98%, but it's very, very accurate of what it's looking for, and it's looking for changes in that heat and circulation. So that's cool. And then, of course, mammograms you guys all know about because it's readily covered by your insurance, and thermography you typically have to pay for out of your pocket. But it's well worth it. It is well worth it to get different information, looking at them differently, because, again, Penny is a great example. Thermography says we need to do more. We need to look at this better because it's not normal. Where her routine mammograms have said, you're fine. You're fine. Everything's fine. Every year she's been fine. Have you ever heard me go through a scenario like this before? Your TSH is fine. Your TSH is fine. You're fine. Your thyroid's fine. And then really it's not fine because you're having all of the symptoms and they just didn't check it far enough. So in her case, and this is not the case for everybody, she's an example. She's an example that I'm sharing with you tonight to say, wow, mammogram in dense breasts is not very effective. They keep telling her that it's fine. It's normal. There's nothing to worry about. Thermography gave us 100% different story. And thermography can tell us about things way before years, several years before we would ever be able to see it on a mammogram. Are they both useful tools? Absolutely. Abnormal thermogram and then getting a mammogram, that's fine. You want to minimize your radiation? Don't get a mammogram every year. You don't need to. Get a thermogram. Get a thermography. If that turns out normal, you don't have to do that every year either. It's up to you. Okay, depending on your risk, depending on your age, those are all the things that go into determining. But if you want to minimize your radiation risk, start with thermography. And if thermography turns out abnormal, that's when then you go for a mammogram or an ultrasound or a CT scan or an MRI scan. There are other ways to test and to look at the breast differently to be able to evaluate, is something growing or not? Because if it's there, I want to catch it and I want to zap it. I want to get it out or I want to eliminate it. But everything that we're talking about today is about preventing. Everything we've been talking about for months is about preventing this from happening, because the hard part is you all fear it. None of you want it, but yet not all of you are ready to take the steps to actually prevent it. When that's what you got to do, because it's up to you. You can do it. It's all up to you. So those were all of the tips, all of the comparison things that I put out there earlier. I hope that makes sense. I didn't see a whole bunch of comments coming through. Hi, Tony. I can't see them all. They're just popping up. There we go. So amazingly, you guys usually all say hello and talk to me and have questions, but nobody's talking tonight. What's the deal, guys? You tired? It's during Lent. So how many of you Wednesday nights are busy on Wednesday nights? Well, I hope that you share the video. I hope that you share it with somebody else who needs to hear about it. Please make sure that you go to adiscoveryhealthlifestyle.com or start at drkellyfelmer.com. All that would be fine. But again, I've written it up. Hi, Robin. Everything that I wanted to share with you tonight in more detail. I've got that all written down. I am sharing Penny's mammogram results and comparing that to her thermogram, and that's what we did tonight. We did a little bit of a comparison so that you can know and understand to make the best decisions for you. Hi, Charlotte. Do small breasts mean low estrogen, lower cancer risk? Absolutely not, Charlotte. The size of your breast has nothing to do with your estrogen levels. Okay? Your estrogen levels come from your ovaries. Your breast size has a lot to do with your metabolism, your fat makeup, your body composition. I mean, and there are definitely, we know we're all different, right? Some of us have really big boobs and some of us not so much. And then after kids, they change again, right? And so it's different for all of us, but absolutely not. If you have small breasts, compared to a woman with larger breasts, it does not eliminate your risk. It does not lower your risk. There are too many other reasons of why we get breast cancer. Estrogen is one of them. Estrogen and progesterone balance, how much inflammation is in your body, how much chemicals and pesticides and toxins and environmental and mental stress, all of those things play huge roles. And then, of course, your genes play a little bit of a role. Size? Not so much of an issue at all. Noelle, hi. How do you know if you have dense breasts? Okay, good question. So what we haven't ever talked about was doing breast self-exams. Okay, so I know everybody is taught about that. Easy for you to Google that. Look that up. It's about just feeling your breasts, right? And so the tissue should be very soft. Some women have fibrocystic breast disease. I tell you, they need iodine. Okay. Remember, I always talk about iodine in your thyroid. What's the next organ or tissue in your body that uses the next most iodine? Your breasts. If there is any lumpy, bumpy, they feel not just smooth and soft, you probably need more iodine, and they're fibrocystic, meaning, wow, I can really feel there's some thick spots and some thin spots and some thick ones and not so thin. They're not a hard pea, frozen pea. Like that's what you're looking for when you do a breast self-exam. So a a very dense breast, think of it like this. Okay, so you have a pillow, and this pillow is, you can see how I can smush it, and it's really soft and smushy. That's kind of what your breasts should feel like, okay? No lumps. There's no thicker spots, but that's what a fibrocystic breast would be like. It's all kind of the same, but there's a thicker spot. Now, compared to, let's pretend, we're pretending now, just as a comparison, this pillow is much more firm, it's much harder, it doesn't squish like this one squishes, so this one is very dense. All of the fibers are packed full and it doesn't squish down like this one does. So just to try to make that a visual and a better comparison for you, Noelle, tell me if that's making sense. But so a very dense tissue in your breast would mean it's kind of harder. It's much more solid than droopy mama breast over here, that where it's really squishy and saggy even. We get saggy after breastfeeding. Is it true breastfeeding lowers breast cancer? Yes. Your risk. So not breastfeeding lowers mom's risk of developing breast cancer, doesn't prevent it, lowers the risk, and also lowers the risk for baby. Breastfeeding your baby lowers cancer risk for the baby, lowers cancer risk for mom. So super, super, super beneficial, most beneficial thing that you can do for yourself and for your children. Okay, good. So that kind of made sense. All right, guys, what else? What else is going through your heads? I hope that was helpful. Again, I'm about getting you educated, making you understand how I approach things a little bit differently than the medical realm, but also differently than the ones who just want to tell you something to get you all stirred up, tell you a lot of drama to make you all worried and to, make you feel like you have to go search their care because they've scared you with something they've said. There are good things and there are bad things about mammograms. There is no doubt, but is there a place for them? Yeah. I do not get a yearly mammogram. I don't. I don't want the radiation. I'm not at a high risk for breast cancer. I am working on my health. I have had 3 thermographies already, and I will get another one of those done and keep comparing them. And then at some point, if I feel I need to, I may go get one, but I'm definitely not signing up for one every year, and that's my choice. And that's based on my circumstances. But I hate it when you don't know the right information and then you feel forced or you feel like there's no choice and you just do it because somebody said to do it. So what I wanted to try to demonstrate for you was that there are good things about both of them. They look at things differently, but I can't stress enough if you're one of those women with dense breasts, a mammogram is not that beneficial. It really can miss it, and it's very, very difficult for them to see it, so I absolutely encourage you to get a thermogram done as well. All right, so 9 o'clock, 30 minutes, whoo, flies right on by. If there's other things you want me to talk about, please ask me. Please share the videos. Please go to my websites, drkellyfelmer.com and adiscoveryhealthlifestyle.com. I really appreciate it when you share those things. I like to know that you're watching and viewing and getting something from it. So if there's something you want me to talk about, please ask. Otherwise, get ready because we are going to be talking a ton about hormones and what you need to know and how you can get yours tested and how we need to get them balanced as well. So thanks so much, everybody, for joining me tonight, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week.